What's good, everyone? This is Justin here from the CPC. This is our first ever international interview. I'm very ecstatic to actually have Scott here from SHAmory, who's actually the creator of this cool concept we're about to bring out to you. So SHAmory is basically a Bitcoin card game, and it's been featured on Bitcoin Magazine,
Yep.
the block, Citadel 21, I think it is.
Yep.
And you guys were also on a space on ABC Radio as well.
ABC Radio and Newsweek.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So what's probably we'll just start off with what's the background behind Shamori? What is the name behind Shamori? What is it all about?
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of comes to the game itself, kind of teaches you in a loose way how mining Bitcoin works. So one of the algorithm that's used in that process is called SHA-256, so SHA.
Right.
And so that's where the beginning part of the name comes from. And then when you're actually playing the game, it's very similar to the game of memory, which many people might have played when as a kid, where you're flipping over cards, trying to remember where things are. So the name really was just a mixture of the SHA from the SHA 5256, and then the end of the word more memory. So just put them together and got SHAmory.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man. That's pretty like straightforward too as well. So that's cool, man. What actually how did actually Shamori get started? Like, how did you come up with the
Yeah.
concept and pretty
Yeah.
much get back to the origins of
Yeah,
Shamori?
the origins. Yeah, so I became interested in kind of the Bitcoin space in December 2017. So the end of the last bull run, kind of, you saw the number going up, got sucked in, that whole thing. We know the drill. And then, over the past now almost 4 years, just kind of kept diving deeper down the rabbit hole. I personally, along with, so it's myself and my wife who are involved in the company. Both of us in various ways have in our professional life are involved in kind of the education sector. And so as we started learning more, we really recognized that there was a gap in that space in the Bitcoin space for fun, easy to digest content for all ages. So whether you're a kid or an adult, you don't always need to have the technical or the money side. Just make it fun. Just start to have somebody be introduced in a low stakes way. You can play SHAmory or read our book without knowing anything about Bitcoin. So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So we recognized there was a gap there, and then the more I started learning about the mining process, kind of going back to your question about the name, it kind of clicked in my head how the process of mining Bitcoin is really just matching a nonce and a target. There's many other things that are happening, but that's at the end of the day as simple as it can be. So I said, well, that's really similar to playing memory, where you're trying to match two things up. You're using your mental energy,
Yes.
just like a computer is. So that once that clicked in our heads, the game, we had different versions and different rules, so we played around with some different concepts there. It probably took about a year of from beginning thoughts to actually releasing it. So a bit of time there. And so in July of 2020 is when we started shipping for the first time.
Wow. So that was pretty much during the COVID outbreak, pretty much, right?
Yeah. So it was, we started brainstorming things probably, 6 or so months before COVID hit. And then it was funny, right before COVID hit is when we were about to do our first print run. And we were going to use a manufacturer that ended up having to be shut down because of everything going on. And so it set us back, a few months trying to find something else. So it all worked out the way it was supposed to,
Yep.
but
Yep.
we made it this far.
Wow, that's incredible, man. I love the persistence of you guys. Not giving up on that vision of what you guys are trying to push out. That's really cool. What's another? So I'm just reading my notes. How did you actually get started in Bitcoin? Sorry, I don't know that
Yeah.
you put it up basically before, but how did you come across Bitcoin?
Yeah. So the first time I remember hearing about Bitcoin, I want to say it was probably like 2013, 2014. And I remember being over at my mom's house and the local news was on. I'm in San Diego, California, and there was a news piece on the first Bitcoin ATM going up here in San Diego. So that's the first time I remember hearing about it. I didn't obviously do anything about it then, unfortunately.
Yep.
And then, I guess 4 years later in December 2017 is when you kind of, we saw that everybody saw the news, and or those of us who started coming in, then, we saw the news, we saw the number, you saw all the other altcoins that are things are happening. So we get sucked down that path to begin with as well. And then you kind of just keep diving from there. But it was, I have before all this, I have a background in accounting as well. And so, and the auditing side of things. So the concepts around both scarcity and validation on the Bitcoin side of things really made sense to me because I understood if you're going into to audit a company's records, you need to verify, you need to replicate steps. So it kind of came second nature to understand kind of those simple core concepts. And I think it made it easier for someone like myself to dive down the rabbit hole faster.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. And um, what was the other word I was going to say? How did you actually come across? Actually, that's what I was going to bring up. So I've noticed as well on your Twitter, you've had celebrities actually been approaching you, like Jay Gold, for some example, the tech entrepreneur, CJ
Mhm.
Wilson from MLB legend, and
Yeah.
yeah, like could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's kind of just goes to show how open the Bitcoin community is. I mean, really no different than how you and I started talking, where most of the people out there, sometimes the Bitcoin Twitter space can get a bad rap for being mean or toxic or whatever, but really that's not the case at all. Whether it's online or in person, I mean, people by and large are out there and open to connecting and helping, especially when you tell them you're creating a company to help educate all ages kids. It would take a special person to not want to support that in one way or another, even if it's just taking a look at it.
Yeah,
And so most of those contacts, no different than connecting with Lord, just whether it's seeing a tweet or shooting somebody a DM, that sometimes they'll respond and you start a conversation and it goes from there. That's how it all. We've done no paid marketing at all.
yeah.
Um, so just really just been on Bitcoin Twitter, reaching out to people, engaging, and seeing where things go.
Yeah, I guess that's the cool thing about Twitter as well. It's like anything that's attached to Bitcoin. It's sort of like everyone's just trying to help build each
Yep.
other's network, sort of thing. And like I guess that's the fastest way to for mass adoption in some sense. So yeah, I really like that.
Yep.
What's your I noticed as well with touching base on Lord. I think he did say that he was looking forward to actually doing something with you guys in the Tongan formation of SHAmory. If
Yeah.
you don't
So
mind touching base about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, of course. So he's interested in the nice thing about the game is that it's very visual based. So it's really just images of monster characters that we created. So the physical game itself really doesn't need any translation, which is awesome. The one thing that does need translation is there's a how to play video, which if you go to our website, it's in English, but it's easy enough for whether for any language. If we get a video, an audio recording of those same that same script, we can translate it and create a secondary video in a new language. So that's one thing that he's interested in to help the adoption in Tonga. And then the other would be related to our book, potentially down the line being able to. The book is written in English, but being able to translate that as well is something that could potentially be done. So excited to see where it goes with him, and kind of goes back to how open everybody is, and you never know where you could end up. When we started this, there's no way that we could have imagined sending games to Tonga, or like it just would seem crazy.
Yeah, man. And then like like in New Zealand, we have a very big Polynesian community,
Yeah.
especially in South in Auckland, which is the pretty much the capital of Polynesian. So you got like Samoans, Tongans, um, was it Niueans, Cook Islanders, you name it, like they're all
Yeah,
there. And I think with this card game, it would actually speed the process for the native tongues that actually are sort of wanting to um,
nice.
gain a grasp of how Bitcoin actually works. Because when I
Yeah,
looked at the whole before I interviewed you, I was looking into how SHAmory really worked, and like man, it was just the way you guys have like set up the whole concept of proof of work, and like in such a real simple way. Like I never would have even thought of it put like how you had the 10 chains and
yeah,
the tech chain as well.
yeah,
It's real incredible because I've never would have even thought of doing it in such a real simple way. So like mad props to you guys, man. And like even
yeah.
if you guys are able to do that in a different native tongue where like if whereas Lord is the very first one you guys would be able to tap into, like it'll be pretty cool, man. Like yeah, it'll be something we'll be looking forward to.
Yeah, no, that definitely the case, and it's crazy. We've been, lucky enough to be at some, physical events here in the States, whether it's Bitcoin meetups or a couple different conferences, and probably one of the biggest compliments we've ever gotten is from a few people who are involved in the Bitcoin mining space in big ways, coming over and watching how it's played. To your point, okay, you're mining the block and blah blah blah, and for them to say to us, oh my gosh, like I've never seen this broken down so simply
Yeah,
for people to understand it, like that coming from people who are actually mining and so involved in the technical aspects of it
yeah,
um, is
the OGs, eh? Yeah, yeah.
it's not so it'll never lose touch when somebody says it like that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. And probably touching base on your experiences in the conferences you guys have had. I remember the last time I was talking to you, you were at a conference. Do you mind touching a little bit more base on that?
Yeah, so we actually just got back the other day. So we were at the it was called the Atlanta Bitcoin Conference or TAB, and so um, we're able to go out there last weekend, and there was about 400 or 500 people at the event. We had a small table set up inside the Zebedee Esports gaming room, and so we got to know them over the past year, and they've been nice enough to invite us there, as well as at the Bitcoin 2021 conference in Miami. We were able to set up in their room. And so it's just fun, especially the Miami one. Just, when you compare 400 or 500 people at TAB last week to, 12 to 15,000 people in Miami, it made last week's a lot more mellow and less exhausting.
Yeah,
Because once last year or I guess earlier this year when my wife and I were in Miami for that, it was nonstop. Going back to the hotel, absolutely
man, that would have
exhausted.
been bananas, eh? Because man, I remember I was working at a concrete warehouse. In the middle of the night, I've got my earphones on and like I'm hearing this whole Miami thing, and like it was just like whole lot of hysteria, eh? And I was like thinking to myself, is this like a MLM conference or something or what? But now when I was looking at it, I was like, oh shit, Michael Saylor's there. I'm like, oh no, this is legit. And then like just it just kept rolling out and like just seeing all these big names. I was just like, holy crap! And that's how I actually came across Lord because he had mentioned about in correlation with Nayib Bukele
Okay. Yeah.
making legal tender with Bitcoin, for example. So like that's how I reached out to him, and then yeah, the rest has been history ever since. Yeah, man, that's cool, man. What about is there any is there anyone in the future you would actually love to be interviewed by? Name three figures in the Bitcoin game that you would love to have a interview with.
Well, that's a good question. I haven't been asked that one before.
Cool.
Let's see. I've been, let's see, three of them. I think I would go one, Pomp,
Yeah.
because he tends to focus a lot on the education side of things.
Yeah.
Some his stuff is maybe more financial education related,
Yeah.
but it does obviously it weaves back to you have to have that building block to understand what's going on, and that's part of the concepts through through SHAmory. So that'd be one that, I've tried to get his attention. So if you're out there listening, feel free to.
I actually saw that tweet too. I was like, man, yeah, we need to get this guy pumped. Like seriously,
Yep.
like it's just it's a really good product, and I highly recommend it to everyone. For those that are
Yep.
actually watching this video right now, like yeah, man, definitely get into the Shamori thing. I think it's
Yep.
one of the biggest things that'll probably pop off in the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, man.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
that would definitely be one. I'll say Peter McCormick, what Bitcoin did, as one. We were lucky enough to meet Peter in Miami
Wow.
at his the party he hosted. Super nice guy,
Yeah.
and so I think it would just be a fun conversation. Go abroad again, like we're doing here today. So
Yeah.
do that, and then what would be the last one? I guess I'll go with Matt and Marty, Tales from the Crypt, because Marty has a kid himself. They have copies of the game. I don't think they have the book yet, but I think it would resonate, especially with Marty being a father of a son who's just slightly younger than my daughter,
Okay.
and so being able to have that connection and go from there. So I guess those would be three of the bigger names that if you're out there listening, feel free to shoot a DM.
Yeah, man. Let's get these guys on, man. Let's try and retweet or Instagram, Facebook, you name it.
Exactly.
Let's try and get these guys on, man. That's I'll definitely be part of that cause to try and get you up there, man.
Appreciate it.
Awesome, brother. I just started wondering as well too, like in terms of the children's side of things. I was actually interested in the books, like just seeing how has it impacted the children in terms of this whole we've got this whole COVID situation with lockdowns and all that. What is the feedback you guys have been getting in terms of the impact that's actually created for these kids and as well as for the adults?
Yeah, good question. Um, so the book we just released in August, so it's a pretty short period of time, but the feedback we've gotten is awesome. Even being that's the nice thing about being at a conference like we were last week, where when somebody's buying it, they can flip through it and tell, oh my god, awesome. Already heard back from a few parents who have said that their kids are very much enjoying it since they returned from the conference, and so that's been awesome to hear early on from the book response. And then the gaming side of things has been obviously a longer time period to start hearing back. But whether it's families saying, okay, we really just it's fun to have us come together and start learning, and it's not really just for kids because I've heard couples saying, my husband or my wife would never listen to me about Bitcoin, but I'm able to play this game with her or him, and that helps kind of bring it together, and maybe they'll start asking questions that way. So that's been an awesome thing from parents. One concept that has come up over and over again is so while you're playing the game, you're all mining the same blockchain. So there's you're playing, you're competing to earn the most Bitcoin rewards. But to your point earlier, there's also the attack chain. And if that attack chain gets longer than the blockchain,
Yeah,
we all lose.
yeah.
And so I've heard from multiple parents saying, the first time we played, one child was upset because let's say the sister got more rewards than he did. But second time we played, they realized, wait a minute, yeah, maybe my brother or sister earned more rewards, but I still got three and she got four. And at the end of the day, we protected the blockchain together.
Wow.
So it kind of shows how the game itself is both individual and collaborative,
Yeah,
and it kind of teaches. It's a Bitcoin lesson, but it's a life lesson.
yeah.
Um, so hearing that, and then lastly, for the game side of things, one thing probably about a month or so ago, somebody told us that they were playing as a family, including some grandparents. That short time after playing, the grandfather actually went out and started mining Bitcoin himself.
Oh wow.
So that one took me by surprise and was crazy to see. So um,
Man.
you never know who knows what somebody will say next.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome, man. Like, that's amazing to see. Like, these are the sort of feedback that you're actually getting for, with the product you guys are producing, and like, wow, that's incredible. That an old man just started mining. Like,
Yep. So you never know. Who knows?
yeah, man, for sure. So like what was the other question I was going to ask as well? Um, oh, that's right. Have you ever thought of making this a video game sometime in the future?
Good question. We get that every once in a while. So maybe at some point the actual game will be turned into an app or whatever. Part of the reason why we went down this avenue to start with is because Bitcoin is already such a digital space. We wanted to create something that's physical to kind of give it a sense of real, and especially to help bring people together. Um, More so, what we're interested in, and there's some people potentially interested in doing this with us, is so like I said, the game and the book is all built around the little monster characters, which I know you've seen from being on the website.
Yep.
Um, we envision those characters being that's kind of part of the SHAmory brand and can be spread through other whether it's video games, not just about the game that we already created, but actual video games. So those characters inside games, shows, movies, educational content, but kind of living. The characters. They're nice because they're not super childish, where adults like them too. So they're kind of that nice mixture there. At least that's the feedback we get. Where whether it's for kids or adults, it's something that can be woven into other products or offerings, like you were saying. So I think that's something that is on the roadmap to be able to work with gaming companies. Like I said, we've been lucky enough to be part of the Zebedee rooms, people like Mint Gox or Thunder Games that we got to know over the past year. And so groups like that and being able to help support each other is something that who knows where it can go.
Cool, man. Something that just popped in my mind too as well. The NFT market. Now, I know that this game is based on the Bitcoin blockchain, and I do know that there is a network that they're working on at the moment called the Liquid Network, I believe, and I believe that's actually going to be based for NFTs, solely based on the Bitcoin blockchain. Is that something you could possibly be looking into in the future?
Yeah, it's something to monitor for sure, just to see how it all develops. You know, everything is so early that you have to see how it goes. But yeah, I don't think we'd say no. And I think there's probably things we can't even think of today that are going to pop up that we'd be interested in on that's building on top of Bitcoin and all the different layers that are going on there. I mean, think of where 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. I mean, the, the options are endless. There'll probably be monsters popping up in front of us just from who knows what.
That's cool, man. Before we wrap this up, how would our followers or listeners out there be able to, how would I say it, get a hold of SHAmory in their hands? And not only also that, I just realized too on your website that you guys also do bulk orders for like schools and stuff. So like anyone that's watching on this video, that's an actual school teacher or is like in the curriculum, maybe that's probably a service you guys could probably offer.
Yep, exactly. So to your point, thanks for bringing it up. So we can offer bulk discounts. That can also so if you're a school, this might not be as appropriate, but for the bulk discounts, we can also customize it. So for example, if you're a company in the Bitcoin space, preparing your marketing efforts for 2022, and instead of buying, t-shirts to hand out or pens or USBs, why not brand our games or our book with your logo on it and give it to your audience. And so things like that, or even more so to your point, if there are schools that are starting to teach about Bitcoin and are interested in having bulk orders to have in the classrooms, they're more than happy to discuss that with people. Or the other version of that would be wholesale options. So if you're an e-commerce company or brick and mortar that's looking to have product on your shelves or in your e-store, I'm happy to discuss wholesale options as well. So like all that, to your point where you spotted it on the website. So shamory.com, SHAMORY. We're most active on Twitter. But whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, the handle is Play SHAmory, all spaces there. And then I'm also on Twitter, most active. So Scott M. Sibley there. And the DMs are open in all those spots. So easy to get a hold of us, whether it's on the social networks or on the website through the contact form.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate that. Do you have any closing words before we wrap this up, brother?
No, I think it was just awesome to connect. It's always cool to be across the world, different days than Friday here, Saturday there. Uh, Especially in New Zealand's always been on the bucket travel list for my wife and I. To we enjoy scuba diving, so
Wow.
thought
I would love to bring you around here, man. Yeah, we got a few places we could take you for Kina dive or mussels and oysters and all that sort of stuff. I think my stepdad's got a boat, so yeah, probably check you out on that boat. We'll go for a dive somewhere, and yeah, love to show you around New Zealand, man. Even probably even take you pig hunting as well.
I you know happy to. So I think we'll at some point we'll make our way down there. So it's cool to kind of make a connection and get to know people everywhere around the world. So you have a friend somewhere, and if
Yeah,
you're
man.
ever here, obviously the same is true.
Appreciate that, brother. Awesome, my man. Hey, we just want to wrap this up, and I just want to just appreciate you, Scott, for taking the time out to interview with us at the CPC. And you know, you're the first ever international person that's jumped on this, and really grateful. And this actually got me a little bit more pumped now because I'm actually going to be looking forward to doing more interviews in the future, and probably have another follow up with you, maybe with Lord Fussy Tour on the same feed. It would be really cool. So
All right.
awesome, man. Thank you, brother.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, Barry.
Well,